Who can say where the road goes, where the day flows? Only time. And who can say if your love grows as your heart shows? Only time.
Good morning and welcome back to History Class, where this week we have been talking about the Mayans, people in the southern part of Mexico and northern part of Central America, the local people who were there far before the Spanish came. All right, we spent some time this week talking about where they came from and what their culture and their civilization was like. But all good things that they say must come to an end. So where are the Mayans now? Well, remember we said that the Mayans, they didn't have one main king. They were a monarchy. They had kings. But what happened was, the Aztecs, they all came together and formed one big group. The Mayans, though, didn't do that. They had kings of this city and that city, and as these kings became more powerful, as these cities became more powerful, they would take over for the Mayans for a while, but then another city, another king would become powerful, rise up and take over. See, the Mayans, they never learned the secret that made the Roman Empire great. The Roman Empire knew that the way to be strong was for everybody to come together. The Mayans didn't learn that. They had been fighting themselves. Just 80 years before the Spanish had come, their last big city of Mayakun had been thrown over, and the Mayans, they were all just kind of going their separate ways. They had sort of split up. And it made it easy for the Spanish when they came. And the first Spaniard that came over them was this guy here, a guy by the name of Francisco Hernandez de Córdoba. He came over in the year 1517. That's about a year before Cortez came over. We mentioned him last week. I'll talk about him again. And he did some major exploring of the southern part of Mexico, and he explored a bunch of the Mayans. And while his journey wasn't what I would call a success, it was a whole big miss for him. And he died just a few days after getting back to the Spanish. But his reports got the Spanish interested. They wanted to know more about this land, and they wanted to be able to conquer it for Spain rather. And so they sent Hernando Cortez in. This is after he'd had his adventures with the Aztecs. They sent him in to take over the Mayans. And Cortez did the same thing with the Mayans that he did with the Aztecs. Maybe if the Mayans had all come together, they might have been able to drive the Spanish out, but they did not. Cortez conquered much of the land, and it became owned by the Spanish. And just like what happened with the Aztecs, the Spanish came in, they set up cities, and they took over the Mayans. The Mayans died out, or they married with the Spanish to become... It's weird sometimes. It's like airplanes only come over when they know I'm recording. Anyway, the Spanish came in, they took over the Mayans, and the Mayan kingdoms were no more. The people died out and they moved on. They became Spanish themselves. a lot of their cities were lost. The city of Tikal that I mentioned earlier this week, that was lost for nearly 150 years after the Spanish came. But yes, the Spanish came to the Mayans and they did the same thing to the Mayans that they did with the Aztecs. They took them over, and the Mayan culture died out. Now today you can still go by to those places. You can see the Mayan stone pyramids and temples. A lot of them have been found, but they've been dug out by archaeologists. You can see some people who still practice the Mayan way of living. When I went to that area once, I saw some people doing a Mayan religious ceremony there. But the Mayans themselves, they got taken in by the Spanish. You can't go to that area today and find the Mayan people anymore. All that's left behind are their ruins, are their buildings. Okay, and it's sad for the Mayans, but, this happens in history over and over again. People raise up, become strong, then they become weak, and a stronger group comes in and takes them over. It happens over and over again. It's happening here in our world today, and it will happen again before this world is done. So that's the story of the Mayans. So let's go over our questions for this week. Question number 1, what was happening to the Mayans when the Spanish came? The answer to that is they were splitting up. They were splitting up. They were fighting each other. They weren't coming together. Question number 2, who is the Spanish leader? I should probably clear that up a little bit because we mentioned 2 Spanish leaders. It should be the Spanish leader who first met with the Mayans, and that was Hernandez de Cordoba. Francisco Hernandez de Cordoba. And question number 3, what happened to the Mayans? They were conquered by the Spanish, by the conquistadores. All right. Next week, we're going to go even further down south. We're going to go to South America and talk about another group of people who were there, the Incas. But that will be for next week. So how if we stop there? That's all we have for today. Have a great weekend, and I will see you on Monday.